Hi guys, welcome back to my channel For Your Heart and Home. My name is Dee Dee. Welcome into my kitchen. Today I'm sharing 5 practical and empowering tips for the modern homemaker. I also will be sharing 2 new recipes with you. If you've been watching my videos, you know that our family has slowly been transitioning to using 100% freshly milled flour in our home. In recent weeks, we've made the switch, and so I have been slowly converting all of our regular everyday recipes to freshly milled flour. I have found that converting my recipes to freshly milled flour hasn't been too difficult. I have been swapping most of my flour one for one. Oftentimes I might have to add maybe a quarter cup of soft white wheat if that's what I'm using for a recipe. But because I've used these recipes so many times, I know what to look for when using all-purpose flour, and so when I'm converting to the freshly milled flour, I know the consistency that I'm looking for. So if I have to add a little bit more flour, that's okay. But my products have been turning out wonderful. My family enjoys them, and particularly these 2 items worked out really well. So today you'll see me making my cinnamon swirl cake, and I will also be making some chocolate chip cookies. Additionally, I put in a few clips of me getting ready for dinner. We were having some boiled bananas, sweet potatoes, and barbecue chicken. My husband has been on this banana kick for a while, and so I believe that whatever our bodies crave, that's what we should feed our body, especially if our body is asking for something as nutritious as boiled green bananas. So that has been our side dish for a few days now, and so we're going to ride this tide as long as we can. So now I'll jump into the 5 practical tips for the modern homemaker. Tip number 1. It's important as the homemaker to cultivate diligence and organization. So it's important that whoever is the primary homemaker creates simple routines and systems for managing the home efficiently. Whether you're working outside the home or staying home full time, using planners, meal prepping, or batching chores can help maintain order and peace. I have run through my schedule a few times on here before, but it's pretty much the same thing every day that allows us to be in a rhythm together as a family. So I usually wake before everyone else. I get myself together. I then get my husband together as he gets out the door. And then I spend the rest of the day with the children, and they have their own set schedule that they follow when they complete their schoolwork. And after they're done with their schoolwork, they know that they have free choice time. That's time for me to engage with them in free play, or it's also time for me to work on big chores throughout the day. I am a clean as you see it kind of person. So I grew up in a household where like every weekend we would tear the house apart top to bottom, cleaning everything. And while that's something that I still practice today, I also like to clean as I go throughout the week. So if I see there's something that needs attention, I like to attend to it right away. We are a family of 5, and again, we are home most of the time, the children and I. So our bathroom gets cleaned about 3 times a week, if not more. I go in there, I'm wiping down the mirrors, I'm wiping off the counters, I'm making sure the bathtub is clean, because there are a lot of us and those areas get used a lot, and nobody wants to go into a bathroom that's gross. So I try to keep the bathroom in tip-top shape as often as possible. Also, my kitchen gets used all day, every day, 3 times a day. Multiple people are cooking. My children are old enough now. They are 7, 9, and 13, and they are able to prepare basic meals for themselves. So besides my children helping themselves, My husband and I are also in there preparing meals, and so that kitchen gets used a lot. We are constantly washing dishes. We do not have a dishwasher, and so it is important that we have systems in place to keep these high traffic areas in tip-top shape. I've also talked about my daily rhythm of cleaning in the morning and cleaning in the afternoon. I just like to go around the house a few times a day, picking up toys, picking up anything that might be out of place because I like to keep the house tidy. There are 5 of us here, but it doesn't mean that we have to have a messy house. So I think it's important to create simple routines and systems, and what works for me might not work for you. Find a system that works, a system that allows you to be comfortable and not stressed, but it keeps the home at a level that is comfortable for those living there. Tip number 2, embrace resourcefulness and creativity. So think creatively about the resources that you have available to you. This could mean DIYing things, repurposing items, budgeting wisely. A lot of people like to thrift, cooking from scratch. All of these are examples of how you could be resourceful with the resources you have available to you. You have to sit down with your partner and decide, what are our priorities? What are our goals? Are you trying to save? Are you trying to pay down debt? Whatever it is that you're trying to do, you're going to work towards that goal. And by working towards that goal, you have to set boundaries for yourself. And many times that means sticking to a budget. That might mean going to a thrift store versus going to a big box store or buying online. So there are ways to be resourceful with the resources that we have at our disposal. And by being resourceful, we are also allowing ourselves to be practical, and it empowers us because we are being creative. Resourcefulness turns the house into a warm, welcoming home without overspending. Your home does not have to look social media ready. You don't have to have everything matching. You don't have to look like what is portrayed in social media. Your home should be comfortable for the people living there, should fit the aesthetic of the people living there. And so whatever you have to do to make the home into a warm, inviting space for the people living there, that is what I suggest doing. And that can be done without overspending. Before I move on to the third tip, I just want to talk about what's happening right now in the video. So today I am making a cinnamon swirl cake. I'm using a half and half mixture of spelt and emmer, which is sometimes called farro. And all I'm doing is swapping out the flour. Everything else remains the same for this recipe. I will place this recipe in the description box so that you can access this at your convenience. But this turned out beautifully. My family loves it, and I've had to make it 2 or 3 times in the last several weeks because they love this so much. This is the flavor of cinnamon rolls with the ease of making a cake. And so when I don't have the time to make cinnamon rolls, I like to just whip up a batch of this because I know for a fact my family will enjoy it and they will be asking for more. So you saw me milling the flour for this cinnamon swirl cake. I always recommend milling just a little bit extra just in case. I mill on demand, so I don't keep a lot of freshly milled flour stocked because as soon as you mill the flour, very quickly it will lose its nutrients and it can become rancid. So I mill on demand. So after milling the flour, you'll see me putting all the ingredients in my bowl. And then, as always, when you're working with anything that will be baked, you want to use that butter to apply a generous layer on whatever pan it is that you're using. So I placed a generous layer of butter on my pan, and then I'm going to transfer my cinnamon swirl batter into this pan. Now, the batter is basically like a yellow cake, and then I'm going to swirl in some cinnamon and brown sugar. I'm going to mix those two together, sprinkle that on top, and then swirl that in to create that marbled effect. Do not skimp on your cinnamon, do not skimp on your brown sugar. If you want to have this cinnamon swirl cake have that kick, have that flavor, you need to make sure that you put a generous layer of that cinnamon and sugar mix so that you can marble that in. Once I have marbled in my cinnamon and sugar mixture, I will transfer this to the oven and I will bake it off until it's complete. Once I pull it from the oven and it has cooled slightly, I will place a layer of icing on top. And my icing is very simple. I use powdered sugar and I use a bit of water. You could use other things because they will also thicken up your icing, but I just use powdered sugar and water and it works fine for me. Guys, this is delicious and is so worth the try. I was nervous to switch this to freshly milled flour, like I said, because my family really loves this recipe and I didn't want to mess it up, but I made the switch and it's just beautiful. They love it. So give it a try. All right, getting back to our tips. Tip number 3, prioritize self-care and strength. So we all know that you cannot pour from an empty cup. As mothers, as caregivers, as homemakers, we have a lot on our plate. There are a lot of things that we're juggling and it can get overwhelming. And you know what? If you get overwhelmed, it's okay. It's quite normal. But to avoid that overwhelm, it is important that we prioritize that self-care. Now, I don't mean jetting off to a spa somewhere. I don't mean going on vacation with the girls. Those two activities have a place in life. It doesn't apply to me, but for some people, that is how they prioritize their self-care. But let's be honest, that's not something we can do every day. So start with something small. It could be something as simple as taking 10 minutes to sit by yourself to do deep breathing. It can be a simple thing as putting on your favorite music and dancing for a while. Whatever it is that you need to do to boost your self-esteem, to boost those endorphins, whatever it is that you have to do to just feel good about yourself. Again, it doesn't have to be this big, elaborate, extravagant thing. It's just something that speaks to your soul, something that brings you joy. If it's drinking that warm beverage, whatever it is that you need to do to say, hey, I'm here, hey, I'm present, this is being done for me, go ahead and do it. Take care of your physical and mental health so you can better serve your home and your loved ones. Exercise, get rest, nourish yourself well. Self-care isn't selfish, it's stewardship. Again, we cannot pour from an empty cup, so you have to take time to fill your cup in order to be a good steward over your home. For me, self-care is very simple. I like to read, and so I will front load my day with all the things that I want to accomplish, all the cooking I have to do, all the cleaning I have to do, any phone calls I have to make to businesses, for medical purposes, whatever it is that I have to do, bills that I need to make sure I get paid, all the things. I like to front load my day. I wake up early on purpose so I can do all the things in the early part of the day when I have the peak energy. I do not drink caffeinated beverages, so I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink soda. I drink a lot of water, and if not water, might have some tea once in a while, and if not tea, I might have a bit of lemonade or something. But that's basically a very simple drink menu for me. Primarily, I'm drinking water. So I have the bulk of my energy when I first wake up, and then I taper off throughout the day. So, knowing that about myself, I make sure that I front load my tasks to the early part of my day, and that allows me to relax in the latter part of my day. By the time dinner rolls around, which is anywhere between 3 and 5, because we have dinner when my husband gets home from work. So once he gets home from work and we have dinner, I make sure the dishes get done. We do our final cleanup for the day, whether it's in the kitchen or the living room or other areas that we need to go around and do our final cleanup. And then guess what? The rest of the night is mine to unwind. I can use that time to watch a movie with my kids. We can play cards or board games together. Sometimes the kids want to go off and do their own thing. We do that too. And that's also a time for me to do what I enjoy doing. And again, for right now, that's reading. There are times when I like to crochet, and so that's a time in the evening when I can crochet. I prioritize things that I enjoy doing, and my children need to see me engaging in activities that bring me joy, because I am trying to model for them what a healthy adult human looks like. And so a healthy adult human isn't constantly doing for others, right? I might be doing for others for a large percentage of my day, but I want to show them too that there are times when I take time for me and do the things that I enjoy doing. And so in the latter part of the day, that's when I pour into myself. That's when, if I want a cup of tea, I might make myself a cup of tea. That's when I get my book and I'm doing my reading. Again, that's also time when I might spend time with my children, playing a board game or watching a movie. And you might say, oh, that's not self-care. But just the fact of slowing down and being intentional and having that space and that time with them, that brings me joy. And so for me, that's still filling my cup. Tip number 4, practice generosity and hospitality. So incorporate giving and hospitality into your home life. This might look like donating unused items, cooking meals for others, or creating a welcoming space for guests. A generous home is a joyful home. Guys, I am a homebody, and so it takes a lot for me to get up and leave the home to go do something extra. Now, do I do that? Absolutely. There's a time and place for everything. But my home is my sanctuary. My home is my safe space. This is where I find peace. And so I rarely invite other people into our space because I want this space to constantly be peaceful. I want this space to bring us all joy. But when I do open my home, I try to go out of my way to make the space welcoming for who's going to be here. 9 out of 10 times, there will be something, some kind of meal for us to enjoy together. So while I do enjoy being home with my little family, enjoying the space, I also do enjoy hosting. And so when I'm able to do that, it brings me joy. And so I do like opening my home and having that moment with family and friends, sharing a meal together. Oftentimes, we also donate unused items. And so there are ways that you can show generosity, and there are ways where you can be welcoming to others without being over the top. But remembering to practice generosity and hospitality is one way that the modern homemaker can apply these practical tips. Before I head on to tip number 5, I just wanted to talk to you quickly about what's happening here. I milled enough flour to make my cinnamon swirl cake, and I used the leftovers to make some chocolate chip cookies. Like I said before, I was also including some clips of what we had for dinner. I was peeling some sweet potatoes, and my husband is on a green banana kick right now. We're from Jamaica, and so green bananas, sweet potatoes, yams, those are all things that we grew up eating, and we haven't had those in a long time. We've been on this stretch of eating rice and quinoa, and I think our bodies is just over it. So we've been craving these ground provisions and these just bulky starches, and so this is what we've been eating for the last couple of weeks. So I'm just simply peeling my sweet potatoes and I'm peeling some bananas. You will see that I'm going to put on some gloves when I get ready to peel my bananas, because the bananas are very starchy and sticky when they are green. And so that stickiness, that residue will transfer to your hands, and I just don't like the feel of it on my hands, and sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to remove from the fingers. And when I'm in the kitchen kneading dough and all those different things, I would rather not have the sticky feeling on my fingers. So it's easier to just throw on some gloves and peel the bananas. Now, this is how I learned how to clean bananas. You simply cut off the ends, you score it on the back, and then you use your finger to peel the banana peel away. It can get a little bit tricky, but I think with practice, it's easily done for most people. And I like to put them straight in a bowl of salty water. That helps to take away some of the stickiness, and it also prevents them from browning too quickly before I put them in the boiling water. We had this with some barbecue chicken. I didn't film that, but I will show you a picture of my plate at the end of the video. This was delicious, and like I said, because we haven't had this kind of meal in such a long time, our bodies just kind of soaked it up. It was delicious. Tip 5. Nurture character over comparison. I'm sure we've all heard the quote, "Comparison is the theft of joy." Now, isn't that the truth? It is important as homemakers, as just human beings in today's world where we are inundated with so much information. It is important that we stay focused. Social media will have you buying this, buying that, doing this, trying that. This is the next best thing. This is better than the next best thing. And we can become overwhelmed by all of this information right in our faces 24/7. And it's human nature to compare ourselves to what we see in the world around us. We have to remember that social media is curated and is often not practical. So, in order to stay the track, in order to stay the course, we have to focus on our own values, not what social media and other people are portraying. It is important to hold on to the foundation that brought you to where you are today. Focus on what you want to portray for your family and who you want to be for your family, and pour into yourself so that you can then pour into the rest of the family that you've created. Prioritize faith. I feel like when you talk about your faith in today's world, it's a big no-no. People are shunned and they're made to feel ashamed of who they are. I'm here to encourage you to prioritize your faith. Prioritize your character. Your integrity is important, so you should never, ever compromise your integrity. Do what feels right to you, not what makes sense for social media, not what makes sense for the world around you. Sometimes we have to turn off the noise of what's going on around us so that we can stay grounded, so that we can be the best people that we can be for ourselves and our family. The goal, you guys, is not perfection. The goal is purposefulness, and the goal is faithfulness. I know for my husband and myself, we want to raise good, nurtured kids who are kind, who are loving, who are understanding, who are helpful. Very basic traits that we want to instill in our children. And so we go out of our way to be intentional so that our children can see us being kind, being loving, showing understanding, being helpful. So quickly back to what's happening here. You see me working together to pull these chocolate chip cookies together. I then scooped them out and I put them in the oven. And while they're in the oven, I wanted to make sure that my kitchen was clean. I like to clean as I go. And so I took some time to do some dishes and just bring the kitchen back to a working state before I shared the dinner for this evening. So these are the 5 practical tips that I just wanted to share with you. It's something that was laid on my heart today, and I just wanted to bring that to you as I was bringing you this video. Again, I wanted to share that it's important that we cultivate diligence and organization in our home. It's important to embrace resourcefulness and creativity. It is important to prioritize self-care and strength. It is important to practice generosity and hospitality. And also important is nurturing character over comparison. So once again, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate all of your views and comments, and I really appreciate you liking and sharing these videos. If you have any questions or any comments, any words of encouragement, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. I see all the comments. I will respond to them as well. So I would like to get to know you as a community. So feel free to share. What is your walk like right now? Where are you as a homemaker? Are you just starting out? Have you been a homemaker for many, many years? Are there any other tips that you can give to the homemaking community to help us on this journey in life? Let me know down in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for being here again. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video, and I will catch you in the next one.